Okay, so I walked into a step 5 presentation a week ago. Does that sound like the opening of a joke? I think it does. So a designer walks into a step 5 presentation and anyway, no, I really did. I walked into a step 5 presentation. I met a client for step 5. Yes, I wasn't alone. Kathy was with me. We had, you know, all the things. We had the drawings, we had the bag of tiles, and we had the flooring samples, and we had the decking samples, and we had fabrics. Oh my God, so many fabrics. It was so great. But on this particular day, I actually came into the meeting with not one presentation, but 2 presentations. Not because I didn't love the first one. Oh, I loved the first one. I really, really did. I'm very proud of that work. Not because the clients changed their mind. I was carrying 2 presentations because the costs of everything have gotten so insane. We were expecting the contractor's bid to come in around the $2 million mark for this renovation. And it was closer to 3.5. And right? And it's always like that, right? It's always more expensive than you think. But this is not talking to the client. This is me, professional. I've been doing this 30 years. We're kind of thinking it's going to be around $2 million and it comes in at 3.5. Like, what happened? It was very thorough. There's no question about it. But that number was definitely higher than we were anticipating. And then our furniture budget, I'm kind of thinking $1 million. It came in at $1.5 million. And there was no estimating mistake. And in fact, when I said to the contractor, once he presented his numbers, like, whoa, as one does, he said that Stats Canada recently released a statistic, which they would, being Stats Canada, that the cost of building a home in Canada has gone up 200% since 2022. 200%. That's crazy, but I think it's true. And hello, you fabulous interior design professional. Welcome to Business of Design. You're definitely in the right place. This is me, like talking to you. I love that. And I'm going to talk about a recent presentation did and how I prepared myself for what could possibly be the outcome. And the outcome, if you're anything like me, the outcome of having failed in some way to make the client happy, in my mind, the imaginary outcome is that the client is going to yell at me and throw me out and tell me I'm a loser and take an ad in the newspaper telling everybody an imposter I am and all that kind of stuff. But that's usually, not really what happens. But in this case, the numbers were so high. My concern was that the client was going to say, "Are you out of your mind? We've obviously hired the wrong person because you cannot possibly believe we're going to spend 3.5, 4.5, $5 million on this renovation when the property isn't going to be worth that, right? 200% higher is a lot." So knowing that, I had this fear kind of percolating in the backdrop. I wanted to be prepared for how I was going to address that fear. That's the way I kind of do everything. If I think something bad's going to happen, I sort of prepare myself for what if that terrible thing happened? What can I do to be okay with whatever that terrible thing is? I don't think I'm alone in that. I think a lot of us panic when we see high numbers. And what I used to do when I saw high numbers was kind of delay the conversation about the numbers or hide behind spreadsheets or kind of break it into 2 parts, hoping the client wouldn't notice, justify, defend my positioning, start value engineering it before I even know what's most important to the client, right? So many of us have it, the temptation is to start cutting back, oh, instead of this sofa, I'm going to do that sofa. But suddenly we have this project that is dead in the water, death by 1,000 compromises. Let's call it that. The hard reality is affordable is relative. With this particular client, I did present the $5 million option. And as suspected, that seemed crazy. But her reaction wasn't violent toward me or angry because I had set the stage before I did the presentation that the reality is prices have gone up. And in fact, I said Stats Canada has estimated the cost to build a home in Canada is up 200% since 2022. So I prepared her for that. And I told her, I'm going to present the blue sky wish list dream project. And then I have another option, which you might want to consider if the big dream option goes too far. I never want to position it that, you can't afford it, because the reality is this client could afford a $5 million project for this house. The question is, would you? Would you want to? And so I wanted to be prepared for that. I wanted to set the stage at the outset of the presentation that you don't have to panic when I present your wish list priced out for you, because this is all just on paper. You're the client and you're going to actually tell me what you want to spend at the end of the day. I'm not going to tell you what you have to spend. You're going to tell me what you want to spend, right? So I wanted to set that expectation that renovation costs have escalated, that furnishing costs have escalated. And I think I used this example in a boot camp that I was teaching recently, boot camp on project initiation steps 1 and 2, which is really, really fun. I presented part of the presentation that included this sectional from Restoration Hardware. It's a secondary space, it's a barn, it's going to be occasionally for guests. And I thought, I'm going to do this client's favor and I'm not going to go with a custom sofa. I'm just going to pick something affordable. Restoration Hardware. The sectional from Restoration Hardware, are you ready for this? Is $40,000. I can do a sectional custom for less than that. So that just gives you an idea, as if you didn't know, who am I talking to? I'm talking to designers. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Things are expensive. That is not a design problem. That is not a you problem. That is a financial reality. But part of our job is helping clients understand that and then make smart decisions, not necessarily the most expensive decisions, but smart decisions. So plan B has to be something smart, but it can't be a compromise of plan A. In other words, you wouldn't take everything in plan A and try to do it cheaply, less expensively. That's not going to work. So plan B is a different plan, but it still makes sense. And that's what I wanted to talk about in this episode. I hope I'm making sense, because I only had one coffee so far. I'm about to have another one. I simply wasn't prepared to walk into that meeting for the presentation with only plan A, which is normally what I do, right? I usually normally only have one plan. Well, I often have options, but this time plan B was a little bit more than an option. I really did give a lot of thought to what would I do if this were my home in this neighborhood, in this snack bracket, knowing that I could do the $5 million option if I wanted to, but that might not be the smart thing to do. What would I do instead? And so I was really happy with plan B. And in fact, that is the plan that we went for. Now, going for plan B causes a little bit of kerfuffle in a project because, as you probably know, if you're a business of design follower, if you've taken our programming, you know that when I deliver plan A, it's fully priced down to the last, piece of hardware in the basement bathroom, down to the last sectional sofa in the barn. It's fully priced, but plan B is not fully priced. So all I could tell the client at the presentation is that plan B is significantly less. It's not, I don't know how much less. And in fact, today I still don't know how much less, because it's gone back to the contractor to have him reprice everything. There are times when we're doing this work where we have to rely on our own instincts. And it's hard sometimes for me to differentiate between the part of me that is hardwired with negative money mindset issues, to separate her from the part of me that is a consummate professional that knows that prices have gone up really high. And I have to watch for that because if I'm honest, if we're even pricing one bedroom and I do the whole bedroom top to bottom, I think the prices are high. If I'm only pricing bedding for a beautiful primary bedroom and all I'm doing is, two sets of sheets and a beautiful bedding that includes all the Euros and the shams and all that stuff, the prices are still high. So my default is always like, that's a lot of money. I for whatever reason, that is how I am wired. And that's okay. I haven't been able in 30 years and in 20 years of therapy talking to you guys to completely snuff that out. I haven't been able to do that. But I have been able to let it happen, let it land, feel what it feels like, and then tell myself, you know what, Kimberly, we've been here before. You always think it's really high, and it is high, and that's okay. Let the clients have their own sticker shock. It's okay. They're not going to throw a cast iron skillet at your head, which is my fear. They are going to say, "Oh, that's high." And you know what? You think it's high too. I think it's high too. We agree. We 100% agree. And I do tell my clients all the time, I don't want you to spend more than you want to spend because I'm not looking for a one-time client. I'm looking for a client for life. And if you overspend, if you feel taken advantage of, you're not going to hire me again. So I'm here to price the things on your wish list, of course, then to give you sage advice. You know, I don't think the home that you're currently living in, if you add $5 million to it, you will never get the value out of the home. That's just never going to happen. But here's the thing, when you're working with clients who are older in the third chapter of life, I'm sort of entering that zone. I get it. You don't necessarily need to worry about selling your home. If you're set up financially and this is the home that you see living out the rest of your days in and you overspend on it and that's okay because you have enough money, then that's okay. So it's possible that the client could have made the decision to spend $5 million on that home because they're not worried about the resale value, to be perfectly honest. But in this case, they did decide to go with plan B. I was very happy about that. I was very happy I trusted my instinct and I was ready with a really good plan B. And let me tell you something, plan B is not cheap. It's not. It's still way, way, way up there. But plan B feels like a really smart, solid choice. And it left me feeling like I was there to solve problems for my client and to do more than show her beautiful renderings, to help her make smart changes that impact her future enjoyment of her home and that will impact positively our relationship. I think my client really appreciated the honesty. I think having prepared her for the fact that prices have gone up really set the tone for the meeting. And I think she appreciated that I didn't leave her alone with it. Well, $5 million, take it or leave it. But instead, I thought, if it were me, I might want to do this other thing. And I think that alternative path looked thoughtful and it looked like I was really in it to find a solution for her. So I guess the reality is, I am attached to making the client happy, but there's only so much I can do. And I can't make a restoration sofa sectional be $20,000 if it's $40,000. And I never want to compromise quality. Never, never, never. Because if you start substituting good quality for cheap stuff, you're going to have nothing but problems down the line and you're never going to have a repeat client. So when circumstances change, I guess we have to change a little bit too. And often in this business, I think leadership and expertise and competence matter more than creativity, although creativity is wonderful. There's no question. Don't be afraid to show up with options. Don't feel like you have to suss out every single corner of the option, and try to balance that with knowing that sometimes it's okay to show clients a big, big splurge, right? That's what I'm thinking about today. I don't know what you're thinking about, but I would love to hear from you. If you'd like to be on the podcast, we'd love to have you on the podcast. If you have a process for presenting alternatives to clients and you want to share that with us, we would love to know how that works. As usual, I'm super grateful you're here. I love this community. I hope to see you in boot camp soon. I know we've got a financial boot camp coming up, which has been extremely popular and life-changing for those who have taken it so far. I think we even had someone who did financial boot camp come on the podcast and talk about how it changed your life, which was really cool. And I think we have another project initiation boot camp coming up, but I'm going to let Cheryl tell you all about that. Everybody stay well, that it's not you. You're not imagining. Things have gotten more expensive, but that's okay. You're an expert and you know exactly how to handle it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Kimberly. Well, I'm jumping in at the end here with announcements. That was such a great conversation. I didn't want to interrupt Kimberly sooner. But I did want to mention, if you're a longtime listener of the podcast and maybe haven't even been to the Business of Design website yet, we do have quite a few free resources that are great to get started, learn some of our systems, and really understand what it is we teach at Business of Design. We have a 5-day course on delivering projects on time and on budget, where Kimberly talks about where in the process she really talks about those key items with clients: money and timeline. Two big ones. So if you want to know where that fits into the schedule, where some key touch points are to discuss those things with your clients, that's a great one to check out. Again, that's a 5-day video course on delivering projects on time and on budget. And then we also have a pricing playbook to give you insights into how we talk about pricing with clients, setting your fees, and really implementing some key systems right away that can really impact your profitability. So again, if you're a longtime listener and haven't checked out the website, really do go to businessofdesign.com and check out some of the freebies we have available for you to get started implementing some of our systems today. Thanks so much.